Welcome to the very first object lesson of 2023. If you've never attended before, it is a First Friday speaker series that opens wide the center's collection cases for an individual of the community to come in, to explore, experience the permanent collection, and share with us their perspective of that object that they choose and how their own personal experiences can be reflected through that particular piece. This evening, I'd like to welcome our first object lesson speaker of 2023, Greg Mazur. Greg is a furniture builder and woodworker based in Philadelphia. He studied fine woodworking at the Center for Furniture Craftsmanship in Rockport, Maine, and at Bucks County Community College in Newtown, Pennsylvania. Greg has always been drawn to building and working with wood, from skateboard ramps as a teenager to plywood furniture and DIY projects over the years. After pursuing an education in fine woodworking, Greg has since dedicated his life and work to building craft furniture. He's committed to exploring furniture as a method of self-expression and continues to push his understanding of the art form while growing as a wood-based artist. Outside of his personal practice, Greg is a woodworker at the renowned Nakashima Woodworkers studio. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Greg.
Thank you. I'm gonna just hop in and get started. Let me share my screen. Does this work? Okay, cool. Thank you everyone for coming. Like Katie said, my name is Greg Mazur. I'm a Philadelphia furniture builder. Thank you to the center for inviting me to talk at this object lesson. This month, I thought I would talk about one of my favorite pieces in the collection, and a piece that I think kind of stands out from the collection, especially when it's on display amongst the other items, and that is Joanne Shima's child's chair. I like this piece, one, because it speaks to me as a furniture builder. It is a piece of furniture, and I like it because it is a playful take on just a chair. It's a child's toy. It has child-based aesthetics to it, but it's also just a beautifully crafted, smartly designed piece of furniture. Just a little bit of background on Joanne. She got her start kind of in woodworking, working in a framing studio and building shaker furniture in her basement, and then became a student, I believe, in her early adult years at Bucks County Community College, where she, after attending for a couple of years, became a shop assistant, and then after that, worked as a studio assistant for Mark Safiri, a local wood artist and the head of Bucks Community College for, I think, 30 years. Just a couple of notes on the chair. It was designed and first built during her time at Bucks County Community College, and it was originally built as a set with an accompanying table for her niece's playroom. So it was actually designed as, a child's chair. I believe she said that she made around 20 different versions of it. And what set these different versions apart are the children's drawings that are painted on the back seat. And these were drawings that her niece had drawn, and she then painted to the back. Here are two other examples of it, two different drawings, and then this here on the left, you can see part of the table that she built with it. So the center's catalog includes this in its description of the chair, that the chair, the high concept design and degree of finish that characterizes this series, made for children, is an absurdist approach to the irreverent but beautifully crafted studio furniture of the late 1980s. So I'm gonna talk about the kind of playful nature of this piece later, but I thought it would be, what I wanted to do is kind of put in context how this fit into the studio furniture movement, as well as kind of just use an excuse to talk about other pieces of furniture that I like, and other builders. So studio furniture is often characterized as kind of one-off or small production run pieces of furniture that are made by individual craftspeople or small studios. And have an emphasis on quality of work as opposed to the cheap mass-produced products from, say, a factory. And this version of, or this movement of furniture rose out of post-World War II America, and it was kind of supported by the growing middle class and their desire to move away from mass-produced products. Wharton Eschrick is often described as the dean or godfather of the American the American studio furniture movement. He was based out of Paoli, Pennsylvania. The legend I've always been told is that he started as a printmaker, and his prints were just okay, but the carved frames he made to house them were the real prize pieces. So he pivoted to become a furniture maker. These are a couple of pieces of his that I really like. On the left is part of a chair series he did out of hammer handles. He made a large quantities for a theater, I believe in Paoli, that his daughter took acting lessons out of. So they were his form of tuition payment. On the right is a corner desk that he made that just, in terms of shapes, is, I think, stunning, but as an actual piece of furniture, I think is remarkable, and it opens up in a way that is really enjoyable to see. Here are two other pieces, just another writing desk and kind of a sculpted sculpture stepping stool. Both of these are at the Wharton Eschrick Museum, which is the studio that he did work out when he was active up in Paoli. I want to talk about James Krenov, an European furniture maker, who I believe got his start woodworking in Sweden, came to the United States to teach. I believe his entire teaching career was done at the College of the Redwoods in Fort Bragg, California, which is now called the Krenov School, and which is a school that produces today still many wonderful furniture builders. But his style, or what he was really known for, was his stand cabinets. So he would make cabinets that stood on their own as a stand. His approach to furniture making kind of started with the wood. Similar to George Nakashima, he would kind of let the piece dictate how it was going to be used. And that allowed him to put a lot of emphasis on the beauty of the grain. You can see the piece in the right, took the care to book match it, I believe, on all four sides, but maybe just three. And he did a lot of curved door elements, which you can see on the right. I'm sorry, on the left. Here's just another writing desk and a standing clock that he crafted. And then lastly, I'm going to quickly talk about George Nakashima. As Katie said, that it is the studio that I work full-time in. George Nakashima kind of was the start of the iconic free edge slabbed furniture. He, like I said, like Krenov, really just let each wood tell him what type of piece of furniture it was going to be, whether it was a coffee table or a kitchen table, dining table, or even one of the many chairs that we make. On the left is an example of kind of the iconic book matched dining table that we make. And then on the right is the conoid chair that we still make plenty of today. I'm actually in the middle of making 6 of them at work. And then jumping ahead 50 or 60 years or so, I want to talk about a couple of modern furniture makers. First one being Yuri Kobayashi, a builder whose work I truly love, and luckily get to know as a wonderful person. Yuri is a Japanese-born sculptor and furniture builder, currently based out of Midcoast, Maine. She builds and often teaches at Center for Furniture Craftsmanship. She is a former educator at RISD, and she's just amazing. She steam bends most of her work, which is heating up wood with steam to make it pliable and bend to your will. These are 2 of her more recent chairs that she has done. This is an end table that I think is just remarkable. Here's a kinetic sculpture. You know, I read somewhere that while Yuri is a furniture builder, she kind of predominantly thinks of herself as a sculptor. So this is one kinetic sculpture that she has made, as well as another one that also implements steam bending. And then as you leave, for those here, as you leave, on the cabinets over there is a piece of hers that she did out of her ITE residency here, based out of the center. Christina Madsen is a furniture maker. I don't know where she's based out of, but she got her start in woodworking as an apprentice in college. This piece was in the Seat of Our Own show here at the center back in 2019, and it was my favorite piece in the show. Aside from being a beautifully crafted piece of furniture, the decoration is all hand carved, and it's just, I think, breathtaking. You see it a lot in her work. She was first introduced with carving through the art of the Pacific Islands. She visited Fiji. She met a carver there who she then studied with after receiving a Fulbright Award. More of her work, you can see the detail and care, not only in the carving, but the beauty of her furniture. And then the last person I'll talk briefly about is Sarah Watlington, who is a young furniture builder based out of LA, a graduate of the Krenov School, which you can see kind of out of her cabinet on a stand here on the left. I included this hutch because, one, I think it's beautiful, but it shows that I think it's an example of what the difference between a mass-produced piece of furniture and a one-off piece made by a particular craftsperson can make. I think the small details that she put into this piece really make it a phenomenal piece of furniture. Whereas if you were to buy a similar one anywhere at West Elm or even IKEA, it would just be really boxy and square without the details that make it as nice as it is. Here's some other pieces of hers. That chair was also in the Making a Seat of Her Own show. So I want to go back to Joanne's chair. You know, when I was speaking to Joanne, I asked her, the description of this piece really said, you know, made it seem like it was meant to be kind of like a tongue-in-cheek take on studio furniture. And when I asked her about that, she said her only intent was to make furniture based for her niece, which I thought was funny. But I still think it's a really playful piece of furniture. There's a lot of things I like about it. But I mean, first and most importantly, what's playful about it is that it is a toy. It's meant for children to be in a children's playroom. And what I like about that is, you know, the idea of buying a piece of craft furniture or, you know, a studio piece of art for a child's playroom, where I'm sure there's more destruction than normal, is humorous to me, whether it was intended or not. I think it has that levity to it. it also, when you think about it in the context that it belongs in a child's room or a child's playroom, kind of thinking about it in the context of the center makes it almost feel out of place. Not to say it doesn't belong in the collection, because I think it does. I also want to talk about the, we'll get there. The materials. This piece is made, you know, when we saw in the earlier builders that I experienced or I highlighted, you know, they all took their time with selecting the wood, you know, Krenov and Nakashima, they were really wood focused, but this piece is still beautiful, but it's made out of MDF, which is, you know, it's a sheet good. But because of its construction and its beauty, you know, the colors used, you can make a beautiful piece of furniture, and you don't have to use wood that was kiln dried for 6 years and kept in a special place. And then lastly, I want to talk about the decorative elements, and this will tie into why I, construction-wise, as a furniture builder, really love this piece. You can see here in these pictures, you know, the cookies are used to kind of, as decorations, they're carved. You can see the bite marks out of the front cookies, but also they're used to kind of hide the joinery. So you don't really see the construction method. And I think that was a really, really brilliant use of decorative pieces. And then, you know, the tinker toys that are used at the top of the legs and to hold the stretchers, I love, because I think it's smart. But what I love most about it is that if you look at it, you just think, oh yeah, it's a replication of a tinker toy, a toy that Joanne mentioned she played with as a kid. But when you really look at it and you start kind of doing the math, you realize that a tinker toy would normally have the holes in the junction points evenly spaced, but she built these specifically for the places where it went. So each one is specific to where it goes. It's in itself its own worked piece of joinery. She drilled the holes at the angles that she needed to meet the legs. And I've looked at this piece many times, and it wasn't until I really looked at it up close and personal that I realized that you know, each piece was unique. And I don't have a picture of this, but also in the back of the piece, there are screws that help secure the upright legs to the rest of it that are hidden within the holes. Maybe I'll show when we look at the piece in a little bit. And then lastly, the playful decoration of just children's drawings. You know, again, if you compare this, it's fun. It's my particular favorite. I believe it's an alien on the right side. But I think they kind of the smirk of that alien just makes me smile. And again, so tying Joanne's work to other work that I like, I want to just take a minute to talk about a couple pieces of playful furniture that I really like. The first one being Wendell Castle's Ghost Clock. The first time I saw this piece was a picture of it, and it mentioned that he had done an exhibit of 12 clocks that he made. And this was a surprise clock. And I thought it was funny that he built a clock just to tie a sheet over it. And then I realized that this was part of, or this was a carved sculpture that he made. Wendell Castle is known for a lot of really lifelike carving. And this is a stacked pieces of mahogany carved and then dyed. And in person, it is just, the detail is remarkable. It is in the Renwick collection. So if you're ever down there, they often have it on display. Next, I want to talk about Gary Knox Bennett's nail cabinet. I love this piece because it's weirdly antagonistic. In an interview, a short interview I read about this piece, he said that he wanted to make the precious thing less precious. And he did that by just nailing a piece, just putting a nail through the door of it, and then leaving also some hammer indentations. What's also fun about that is that this is a showcase cabinet. It's meant to display precious items, sentimental items, but whatever's on display kind of gets lost by having the focus be on the nail. And then lastly, I want to talk about Mary Mariama's Mickey Mouse Macintosh chairs. A quick note about Wendy, she ran the furniture design program at San Diego State University. Also, like the Krenov School, has a hand in producing some phenomenal furniture builders. She ran that program for a really long time. She's also in just an incredible studio furniture and wood artist. But these I really like because it's a playful take on the Macintosh chair, which is kind of this like brutish, almost very serious piece of furniture out of the arts and crafts movement. And she combined that iconic piece with the iconic ears of, Mickey Mouse. And it just, to me, looks so natural. And then the last thing about these that I really like is that she went through this process to create a finishing technique that would replicate Formica, and the idea that she went through all that trouble replicating something that was already a replication of other materials, I really loved. And so I'm going to end this out talking about some of Joanne's other work. When we spoke, she didn't really have any other slides, so I did some digging around and I found these two pieces. The music stand and the stool are two accompanying pieces for her husband, who was a classical guitar player. And I love these pieces because I think they're well done. I like the humanoid form. It's carved. To me, there's still some humor in it. I just think they're really well done. And then again, like every other element of tonight, what I like about it is that you see a lot of builders have their own take on the music stand that really exemplifies their style. Joanne mentioned that she did carving for Mark when she worked for him. So I'd like to think that in a lot of her other work, maybe all this carving is a good representation of her work. But to close this out, just again, here are other builders who I've mentioned before, their take on the form, and Wharton Eschrick on the left, Wendell Castle on the right, George Nakashima. You can see there's elements of all of their works in their pieces. And that's what I like. I like that so many builders can pick something, whether it be a chair and make it for a child, or a music stand, or a table, and make their own kind of voice stand out within these pieces. So that's it. That's my talk. Yeah.
Not a question, but a comment. I saw that ghost clock at Renwick, and it was so unbelievable, the detail. And the funny thing is, when I leaned in close, they have some kind of a sonic shield, and it buzzed. And what's the buzz? And then I looked again, and then finally a guy came over and said, "Get away from this."
So the first time I saw it was at the Wenwick. I was going the opposite direction. I saw it from behind and audibly gasped. And what's remarkable is that you can't really see it, but like you can see there are he carved details of the clock underneath what is supposedly the sheet, and it's just beautiful. Okay.
So, Greg, are you
I ran this presentation by my friend who has 2 children, and that was his first question afterwards. So I don't know, maybe, sure. So part of the reason why I'm drawn to things like this is not to be self-deprecating, I don't know if I could ever be this clever. And I'm also terrified of using color. So I don't know, I guess, maybe to challenge myself.
Yeah, and it's small.
It is tiny. Yeah.
So
I don't know if is this screen, I don't know if people can see it, but it's sitting on the table, and you can see just how small it is compared to the room full of adults. I can turn my,
Yeah.
here, let me turn mine. So this is the chair. And it's just, I mean, it's sitting on a table. So you wouldn't really put a chair on a full grown chair on a table, but it is, it's you know, beautiful, beautifully small, and tiny. And, you know, you have all those elements that, you know, I highlighted before. I think the cookies in the front are just so smart and so well done. Oreos are also my favorite treat. And then I don't know if this will show up. I think it's a little too dark, but in there, you know, she used the holes in the back to conceal some more joinery. And it's just like, you know, a really smart design. I'm a sucker for smart design that is well done. Simple is good a lot of times.
So Carol Bendelson writes here that it's small but sturdy, that she used to sit in it all the time as an adult.
Well, I have this, I'm gonna assume you're gonna tell me that I can't test that out. But I believe her. I mean, yeah, I mean, the construction is just like how, I mean, the joints are as sturdy of, if I wanted to build this for an adult person, the joints would be the same, you know? So yeah, it just might be a little small.
I would encourage you to encourage people to go to Wharton Eshwick's museum
Oh yeah,
in Paoli. It opens up, I believe, in March.
yeah, it's remarkable.
And also to go for a studio tour at the Nakashimas.
Yeah,
And if you get so lucky as to get the back scene tour, that's a real bonus.
yeah, we do tours on Saturdays. We've cut back a lot at Nakashima, but the property there, as well as the property at Warren Eshrick, is just, they're beautiful properties. What's cool about the Warren Eshrick is his studio is a work of art in itself, because you know, I believe there aren't any right angles on the building itself. And he was friends with Louis Kahn, and Louis Kahn designed, I think, a lot of the other buildings, if not all.
The workshop that he evolved into.
Yeah.
It was a residence, and I believe it's now open as a part of the gallery.
Can I make a comment?
Sure, Mark.
Hi. I was,
I think you're muted,
what-
Mark.
oh,
No, you're gonna have to turn up your volume.
Okay, try again.
let me turn up the volume.
Oh, there
Now,
we go.
can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I was one of Greg's teachers, and I was Joanne's teacher back at Bucks back in the 80s. And I have a story to tell about the design of the chair. I would spend a lot of time talking about construction and you know, things that you have to think about for a comfortable chair and all that. And one of the requirements, all the students were going to design a chair, and most of them were full-size chairs and out of natural woods and all that. And she came in with this design of a Tinker Toy chair for a child. And one of my big concerns was that there wasn't enough joinery space for the leg coming into the seat. And I said, you know, you've got to come up, you need more distance there. You need to come up with a way to make that a little bit stronger. And then the next week she came back with the cookie at the top. So it was just a great development of an idea. You know, I was thinking of it from, you know, a structural standpoint, and then she came up with that idea. And you know, it's the combination of the two, but the cookie is the subtle part of it, and just a great detail. So
Yeah, it's a wonderful detail. And
Yeah.
it's just, you know, it ties in the rest of it. It's like,
mhm.
yeah, it belongs on a child's chair.
So Kelly is with us via Zoom. She's Joanne's niece.
Oh.
Oh.
She says that she always loved this piece for so many reasons, and Oreos are her favorite too.
They're the best. Cool.
Does she have a favorite drawing?
Oh, yeah. Does she have a favorite drawing of the ones that were on the back? I don't know if Kelly's still there, but
Hi, can you hear me?
yeah.
I'm here. Sorry, I wrote that from my phone. I just got home, so I'm seeing the video now. I can't remember all the drawings, but I have like postcards of the piece that I've had like around my house, different times of different places I live. So I can't think of a favorite off the top of my head, but I was always very proud of her and very proud of the piece.
Cool. Did it hold up as in your playroom, or did it get
I mean, I'm trying to remember where one is right now, but I know like different childhood homes I've lived in, we've had them all over, and yeah, it's practical, it's beautiful, it's clever, it definitely, it's sturdy and is made well, so
cool?
I can attest to it. And again, I'm biased, but I'm also not biased.
Yeah.
And Joanne's on and my sister is on as well. And a couple of my other aunts are on. So
It's a family affair.
we roll deep. Yeah, the Shimas roll deep.
And Joanne's there too.
Yeah. And my sister is next door.
Oh, I'm glad I knew that after the fact, but
No pressure.
Oh, I think I see.
Can I add something?
sure.
Hello, can you guys hear me? So I'm Joanne's sister, and I used to teach violin to a lot of families and young siblings and young siblings of my students. And I had that chair in my teaching studio, and the young siblings would run over and just like want to sit on that chair.
That you said they would or wouldn't want to.
They would want to. Like
Oh, yeah.
I had it in my teaching studio for the young siblings of my students because they just drawn to it. They just would
Yeah.
run over and want to sit on it.
So for those in
That's
the
all I
back
want to say.
didn't hear,
Yeah.
Joanne's sister was saying that she was a violin instructor and had it in her teaching studio, and a lot of her young students were immediately drawn to that piece, or to
Yeah.
sit during her classes.
Yes.
Joanne, do you want to say hi?
Hello. Nice to meet you. Thank you for doing the lecture. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad. Thank you for designing such a fun piece.
Okay. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Joanne.
Are there any more questions?
So when you sting the fact of structure,
No, I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joanne, but I'm sure this is painted with lacquer.
what I'm saying is earlier.
Oh, steams the wood. I'm sorry, I thought you said stain. No, because once it dries again, it stays in that form. And I mean, Brian could speak to it because he's maybe a better steam bender than I am, but you know, you heat it, it becomes malleable, and as it dries again, it becomes rigid. I mean, there's a little bit of springiness to it, but no, I wouldn't say structural integrity. No more so than.
Craig, could you repeat the question?
Oh yeah, sorry. The question was referring to Yuri Kobayashi's work and if steam bending was affected the structural integrity of the wood in the pieces, to which it doesn't. I mean, as long as you like have sturdy joints and sturdy construction, it should do fine.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Craig, if you want to mute yourself.
Yeah, let me.
Top. Oh, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It was a real pleasure to have Greg here to talk about Joanne's chair and to have Joanne and Mark here to be a part of this. And for those that are joining us via Zoom, this is probably the most people we've had in our library since before the pandemic. So I just want to thank all of you that came out tonight in person. Thank you. This is very moving for me to see all of your faces here. I just want to invite everybody to come down to the center and explore our collection. It's also available online. You can search that on our website. We also have this research library that we're all sitting in. If you want to reserve time to explore our research library, just give us a call. We can fit you in and you can explore our artist files and archives, as well as all these amazing books that are not just about woodworking. All things craft is what we have here. So please come and see us. And our current exhibition that will be up through February 12th is on view, and I'm putting that in the chat for you right now. Please come and check it out. You'll see a beautiful, huge vessel in the middle of our gallery. And please join us for the next object lesson in February. Until then, everybody be safe. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy your time. All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.